here. Yeah. Okay. So now you can see that as soon as like this rider moves, you can also see the same update being done over here. And I think this is what we wanted, right? This was something that we wanted to achieve by doing this. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and this is going to be the next part of our food app series. So in this video we are going to do some exciting thing like tracking the rider, showing the rider progress on the user, drawing those lines, those polylines on the map so that user can identify where the rider location is, and so on. So this is going to be a lengthy video, so stay tuned and let's just get started. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is that you need to make sure that your backend code is running. If not, make sure to get the latest pull from the master and then run this app. And once it starts running, the next thing would be to set up your direction APIs. Okay, so to set up your direction API, what you need to do is that you need to go to your Google Cloud Console, something like this, and look for this API, direction API, and make sure it's enabled. If not, you can enable this because this will help you with the directions, right? Um, like if you go directly from the section from the search, you might not be able to find it. So I'll basically add the link for this in the description, so you can directly click on that link and it will take you to this specific site. Make sure you have the right project selected from over here and then just enable it. Okay, so once you enable it, you already have like set up your map keys in your project, so that should be enough. Now, what we'll do is that we will start working on our food detail screen for rider. Okay. Okay. So now let's just close everything and get over here in the rider app. So this is the main, and this is going to be the rider app. Okay. Inside this rider app, we'll go to the detail screen of orders detail screen, and this is the order detail screen. Okay, so this is what we have right now. In case of success, we basically show a proper buttons and things like that. But we want to add one more section where user can start looking, like the rider can start looking those directions on their phones, right? So how do we do that? So to do that, what I'm gonna do is that we will go to the view model and we will create one more case for this, that is going to be data class, and that should be something as map, no, uh order delivery. Okay, and we'll use the same order delivery for this case as well. Now this specific state will be set only when we basically when user change it to out for delivery. So basically if the status of the order is out for delivery, we will not be showing the normal screen. Instead we will show this specific screen, and we might reuse the same screen on the other end as well. So let's just see how we can do that. Okay, so over here you can see that we are setting directly as success in this case. So what I'm going to do is that I'll make sure when there is a success, we will check if the result dot data dot status is equals to orders orders utils orders utils dot order status dot out for delivery. If it's equals to out of for delivery, which means now we should be setting the different state, else we'll set the success case. Okay, so this is important if we want to show that specific section into the to this specific screen that we have, the order details screen. And now in the order details screen you have this thing there. Okay, so once it's happened, what we need to do is that we need to show a different kind of UI over here. So right now it's for success, it's something like this. And now we'll see order details view model dot orders detail UI state dot out for delivery. In case of that, we will be showing a map, let's say, to the user along with some button and things like that. We'll take that order from there. Okay, so now we have this order, and over here, let's just do one more thing, and let's create. Okay, now over here, let's create a composable. Okay, and that composable is going to be composable function order tracking map view. Okay, and we should pass the same view model as order details view model to this, and then from there we'll take it some create something like this. Okay, so now basically what we are doing over here is that we have a view model for that, and we can also take that order that we received. So let's just use that order as well as order. Okay, now we have something like this. Now over here in this screen, what we want to do is that we would want a map view for the user, where user can like we can show some sort of map, and along with that there will be a couple of more things that we would want to track. Okay, so let's just start with map first. I'm gonna create a column first. Let's use a column. I think column should be fine. So yeah, column, and we'll set that modifier to this modifier dot fill max size. Okay, you can maybe use this modifier from outside as well if you want to, like if someone wants to pass some sort of extra parameters to this, they can use it. And also we'll add some padding, and that padding is going to be, or I think padding should be fine. Okay, now the next thing we do over here is that we need a Google map for this. And this is again simple Google map, nothing very fancy about this. We might want some sort of uh like other parameters. For example, we would need the rider location, that is going to be a lat long. For now, let's just use it something like this because we don't have a rider location for now. And the second one would be wall customer location, that is for customer. And so now we have these two things. And what else we can do? I think we can use the camera position as well. So we'll say wall camera state. I think that is going to be camera position state is equals to remember camera position state. And now over here we'll basically set some sort of modifier to this. So modifier is equals to modifier dot fill max size. That's one thing. And along with that, you can also pass, let's say you want to pass the state for the camera position. Okay. And one more thing I think we should do, that is going to be we will add a weight as 1f. Now in the bottom will be creating a button. That button is going to have a contain text, and that says something as deliver. Okay, so basically deliver, I think that should be enough. Okay, so now we have these things done. And for this we need one more thing, and that is going to be wall polyline. And that is polylines mean is that this is basically will be a list of uh, coordinates that we will get, and these are basically going to be coming from our view model. But for now, let's just keep it like this. And now inside that we can just draw some sort of polylines. Think we can just get rid of that. Instead I'm going to say polyline. Okay, and it requires a list of items, so that is something that we will do. And along with that you can also like set some sort of colors for this. In our case, we are not going to use the normal color. Instead we will be using material theme dot color scheme dot primary, so that we can see what's going on there. And I think that should be enough for now. We will just make, for now I'm going to change a little bit of these values slightly, so that we can see how basically it looks when we draw it. And then after that, later on, we'll basically fix the rest of the stuff as well for that. So now, for now, let's just use something like this and now try to run and see if we get a map view with a polyline, well, like with a line that basically connects two different points. And if it's working fine, then we'll start working on how to connect the socket and how we can keep on getting the new data, and we update the specific portion as rider moves towards that specific location. Okay, now you can see the app is running. We'll go over here, we'll go to the out delivery, and let's hope. Okay, we can see that there is this point that you can see from one point to another, which means that at least the polyline was also like we were able to create a map and a polyline based on how we want it. Definitely will update it, but for now I think uh, our first and a basic structure of this is working. So the next thing would be to get actual values from the socket and update this specific map based on that. Okay, so how do we do that? So basically, to do that, what we need to do is that we need to connect a socket first, because the socket will help us getting that live location with constantly. Like, there are different ways to do it. Like, first one is that you can maybe create your own request that basically keeps on pushing these changes to the server and getting that. And the other one would be to create a socket, connect that socket so that it could like track the user live, and you can push all your changes right away. So I'll be using socket for this, because socket is another new thing that we basically wanted to implement. So how do we set up the socket? Okay, so to set up the socket, what we need to do is that we'll basically go to the main app. I'm trying to set it up in the main section, because it might help with some other stuff as well. So now from over here, we'll basically create a Kotlin class, and let's just create a class as socket service. Okay, and we'll basically create this as an interface. So, oh my God, just somehow type the name wrong. So let's just fix that. Let's create socket service. The socket service is going to help me with a couple of functionality. For example, function connect. Connect. Okay, that's one thing. We'll basically I think we should be doing something as send message, and then we will also have a flow of that. So basically, messages of flow. For now, let's just use string, because Kotlin flows. Well, okay. Now what I did is that basically we created a couple of functionality. For example, connect, disconnect, send messages, and messages. This is basically a flow that will return. And now what the next thing we need to do is that we'll basically create an implementation for that. So I'm gonna say socket service impl. Okay, and it is going to be a Kotlin class that will extend socket service. So once you do that, it will complain about implementing all these features that we have. So we can just create, sorry, we'll basically implement all the members that we have. So for connect, in case of disconnect, what do we want to do? How do we disconnect it? In case of message sending, how do we send the message? And how do we handle the receiving of those messages when we do that? Okay. So basically, to connect the socket, what we need to do is that we need a URL through which we will be connecting it. Okay. So I'm going to do something as wall WebSocket as WebSocket. So now I'm going to say var WebSocket as something like this, which means that now we will be setting the WebSocket accordingly. And now the next thing would be to create wall builder for that. And then for builder, we are going to say request dot builder. This is basically an OK HTTP request that we will be using. And then we will be setting a URL for that. So basically this URL is going to be the one that will help us fetching those values. And then the next thing would be to create a build method for that. So now we have this builder. The next thing would be to create a client. So we can say okay HTTP client dot builder. Okay, and then we will be basically building that. Okay, now the build the psychic so basically the stuff is done. And now what we'll be do is then we'll basically be say will client dot new WebSocket, and then from over here we'll basically add the builder request that we created. This is basically a request that we created. And along with that, let's just create something as WebSocket LISTENER. Okay. So this is basically this is another method that I'll create over here, and I'll say function create WebSocket listeners. That's going to be WebSocket listener. Okay, and then we'll basically do something like this, like when the message is received, we'll do this. Else if there is like on connect, on open, when the circuit is open, on close. So like different kind of messages that you can override over here. And once one more thing that you need to do is that you can also make sure that it's a private function. So now this will basically help you create this specific thing right now. Like till this point all these things are done. Now when we want to disconnect, we'll basically just close, and the reason you can define any reason. When you are trying to connect, you'll basically use this as connection. Okay, and now over here what we would want is that when we receive a message, we would basically send that message through this flows that we have over here, this, right? So now on message I'm gonna say coroutine scope coroutine scope, and that is going to be dispatches.io.launch, and then from there we'll basically be using flow, or we'll say messages dot. Now basically right now you will see that we have something like this, so I'm gonna slightly change this to something else. I'm gonna use private wall underscore messages is equals to mutable state flow of an empty string, and instead I'm gonna use something as state flow. Okay, and now over here we will be using underscore messages dot emit, and that emit will be the containing the text that we would want to pass. Okay, so now we are over here. Now let's just update this, because this URL that we are using is not very generic one, and we would want a specific URL for a specific order through which we can basically access a tracking for a specific order. So now what we are gonna do, I'm gonna create a companion object over here that is going to be private constant wall, and that is basically going to be socket address. And for that we are going to use WebSocket colon slash 10.0.2.2 colon 8080, which is our port. So this is one thing. The second thing that I need to do is that I'll create a function. So I'm going to create private function create URL, and this URL is basically supposed to get a couple of things. For example, the first thing that it will need is that it needs the order ID. So that is a string message that it will get. Second thing would be rider ID. Rider ID, that is again another string. Third one should be latitude, that is string. Then we will be using the rider longitude as string. So these are something. We are also going to use type as string, and in most cases it's going to be location update. Okay, and then it will be giving us a string result, something like this. Okay, now we will be using to pass it something like this, but I think we need something else as well. So it's going to be track slash, and then we will be using this order ID directly, something like this. So basically socket address slash track, which will be the order ID question mark, which means now the extra parameter that we'll pass, like rider ID. The D is smaller. For lat, it's basically latitude. For long, it is longitude. Okay, so that is something that we will be needing. Okay, now we will be using this URL instead of the URL we use. So I'm going to use create URL, and now we need a couple of things for this connect message, right? So I'm going to use the same stuff that we have over here. Or instead we can use, I think for now let's just use these and pass it over here inside this connect full method. And now this specific connect method will start completing, so we can use the same one for this as well. And now we'll pass the same values we have for the order ID, rider ID, latitude and longitude, right? Now now once we do that, I think the connection flow should be done. Yeah, there's one more thing that we are missing here, and that is basically when we receive a message, we'll basically be trying to create a socket and pass a message as sent. Okay, one more thing, when this thing gets disconnected, let's just set it to null as well, so that we don't send values to a closed or a disconnected socket. Okay, now that is done. So, okay, so now the next thing that we would like to do is that we go to data, create a new package and call it repository. Okay, this is a repository that will help us getting the user location, and also help with passing that to the server, to the socket. So yeah, let's just go over here, create a Kotlin class, call it location update socket repository. Okay, this is simple class, not much that we are gonna do over here. There are like a couple of function methods that we will be using. Along with that, I'm gonna use as private wall socket service as this. And now I'm gonna say try catch exception. One more thing I think we need over here before doing anything, and that is going to be look socket connection, and this will basically be doing these two only. I think these two should be enough, connected or disconnected. And now over here, what we are gonna do is that we'll create a suspend function, get user location, which will be a lat long. I think let's just use lat long for now. And now it will return simple values for now, 0 0, let's say. Okay, the next thing would be to use that socket service, then send connect, which will mean that it will be connecting it. If it's connected, now we will be using wall, or let's call it private wall underscore socket connection is equals to mutable state flow of connection disconnected. And now over here we'll be saying that's connected connection. Okay, so that's one thing that we did. And this one, the next one should be when basically there is some sort of issue, we'll set it back to disconnected. When we actually disconnected, we'll be doing that again. We'll try catch that, make sure. Okay, so we'll just get that inside this, and if it's successfully disconnected, we'll basically set that value to this. Okay, when there is a send message, we will be using socket service dot send message, and that will be passing that message to this. I think most of the stuff is done. There's just one thing that we need, and that is maybe using a socket connection as state flow. That's one thing. And also we'll use messages is equals to socket service dot messages, so that we can get those messages from the service as well. So I think that's pretty much something that we do. Okay, now this is the repository that we'll use in our view model. So I'll get over here into the view model, and instead I'll pass wall repository and this. Now the problem over here is that we are using this inject constructor, but we are not defining this in the hill some anywhere where through which we can basically access it, right? So we need to make sure to define it somewhere so that we can access this later on. And for that, I'm going to go over here into this network module. And let's just do one more thing before we do anything and rename it to app module, because it's not now network module. It contains a lot of stuff, and then we basically do refactoring, because like we are almost defining everything over here. Okay, now over here I'm gonna use provides function provide socket service, which will basically be creating a socket service, and then will another one is going to be provide location update repository. This will basically help us create this. Now one more thing that we need to make sure over here is okay, this one, this is basically important. When you are basically doing, you need to define this. And for location update, let's just do that as well. Let's call it inject constructor, so that we can access this. Now almost everything is there. We'll go over here into this view model, and now over here we'll create function connect socket. That's one thing. Another one would be function disconnect socket, and the third one would be function send message. So these are the thing. I think we don't need to send any message from there. So yeah, let's just not do that. Instead, we'll be passing repository dot connect. I don't know why we are using these values. And these should be double instead. Again, sorry about these mistakes. I shouldn't have done these mistakes, but yeah, let's just make sure to fix these. Make it double, make this double as well. And when we are using this create URL, let's just replace them like this. Okay. Okay. So now we are there. We are not going to pass these values to this. Instead, no, sorry. We are going to pass that. And for that, we're going to say wall current location is equals to get user location. And this is a suspend function. So we gonna say coroutine scope dispatchers.io and dot launch. Okay, and now from there we'll be getting this current location, which means now we can pass that latitude and longitude to the server. Okay. So now that's done. We go back to our view model. Now we can get rid of this lat long that we are passing, and we also need to get rid of that rider ID. So I'm gonna say rider ID should be coming from there, and we'll pass that rider ID to this. Okay. Now this connect socket should be called when we are over here. So we'll basically pass that rider ID to this, and why is complaining? Okay, so it's complaining because of that. We are not making sure that the rider ID will be available. So for that, we can do something as result data dot rider ID. So if the rider ID is available, only then we will basically connect it. And instead, this time I'll be passing it ID. Now, One thing that I did, I missed it in the video, is that if you have something like this, when you'll do this, you'll get an error because the rider ID will not be available. So make sure to add this into your order model. This is something that will add over here like this, and it's make sure it's nullable, because in some cases you'll not be getting the rider ID. You will get the rider ID only when it's assigned to the user, so it should be nullable. And yeah, that's pretty much what you should do. And other than that, if it's like another state change, let's say if user change the state to something else, for example, if it's a delivered will not be tracking that change anymore. If it's cancelled, will not be tracking that. And there should be one more case, like if it's rejected, so like in these cases will not be passing, will not basically be keeping track of the location, and will disconnect it. So yeah, that's pretty much what we should be doing. We'll basically use repository dot disconnect. And one more thing we need here is that messages, and that is going to be repository dot messages. So this is basically a flow that we'll use. Let's make these methods private so that we can not access it from outside, and they are just bound to the state of the uh, value that we have. Now over here, I'm not gonna do much for now. Instead, I'm gonna say wall messages is equals to view model messages dot state. And for now, initially the value should be empty, so I'm gonna keep it empty for now. And then we'll basically just place those messages like this. Okay, we are not doing anything else for now. We just, this should be something like this. Now let's just try to run the code and see if we actually get these messages when we try to connect. So yeah, let's just run the code. Okay, so now you can see that it's running. Let's hope this time will work and we get over here. Now, one more thing, since we were testing all these things, you need to make sure that that the Google Map address is basically correct when you are trying to access it. And since my rider is currently in US, like the user rider location is in the US, so you need to make sure that you select this US one if you need some sort of connections. If you use these, the Google will fail to create a direction for you. That's why it might fail. So we'll get over here into the main. Okay, it crashed. I would say it's a good sign. It crashed. It's saying that it's a null pointer exception. Let's use something as order ID as string and pass that order ID. Maybe that's because of that. Okay, let's just try again. This should be the fixing it. I hope this should fix it, because I think the order ID is not being set where we were trying to access it, that data, maybe because of that. Okay, we'll get over here. Okay, now you can see when I get over here, it loads it. Now we'll go to the logs and we'll try to filter those logs for that specific detail screen that we have. Okay, it's not over here. It should be this one. Now we'll try to place it over here. Okay, you can see I got some messages, but I'm not sure if they are the correct one. So we'll just change that to value so that we get proper response for that. But yeah, let's just do that. Okay, the app has run again. Let's just try this once again. This time, side received anything, and yes, you can see we got this location over here, with basically the current location of that rider, right? And then it has this next stop where the user should be going, and then after that, it will be the final destination. I think it is same as both, so we can reduce that, and then we have this polylines, which is encoded string. I think that's pretty much what we have, and then the delivery phase is to customer. So I think this is something we should be using. And now let's just copy that specific string that you receive over here, and then from there we'll go to the models. Once again, create model from the specific string, and now over here we will be using something as this. Okay, Re- you can change that is to location socket update, which is okay. A location, I think that should be socket location response, and we'll generate that. When you generate, we'll get a couple of things in this socket location. Polyline is a string. We need something like slightly more process with that, but I think for now we should be good over here. Now the next thing we need to do is we go to over here. We will go over here, and then with this specific section, when we have something like this, we are not gonna use it directly. Instead, what we will do is that we will map it, and now from there what we will be doing is that we'll say wall response is equals to json dot decode from string. Okay, and we will be decoding it into socket location response, and will pass the value that we have received. This is something that we'll do. So now one more thing that we need, and that is we should be going to our build.gradle file, and we should need add this utils for maps, which is important for this. So basically these are map utils by Google, and we'll sync it. Okay, there is 3.8.2 available, so let's just use that. But just wait for that to sync. Okay, now it's done. Let's just go back there. Now from over here, wall polylines is equals to polyutil polyutil dot decode, and then we'll basically pass that encoded lines to this. Now once you do that, this will basically give you that polylines that you require. And now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna create another same response like we have. So basically we'll be using it as socket location, and over here rather than using this, we will be using a list of lat long. Okay, which will basically be a list of latitude longitude, and we will be using this as socket location as this. It's not be local, instead this will be socket location. Okay, so now this will basically be creating a message with this specific section, and now we will go to our orders details over here. Now we have these messages that we can use. So now initial value should be null. Let's use it a null, and I should be expecting a response as socket location question mark. Okay, now over here inside this section we'll be using is this dot value as this, and if it's not null, then we will be using is using this and not actually this instead. And from over here we'll be using it dot polylines. This will basically set up all these things. Okay, now again this one, and even these rider location, these are not required because everything will be part of this message section. And now from over here you can create some markers. So for example, let's create wall rider marker is equals to current location, and then we will be using destination marker, and from there we'll basically create a marker, which is again a Google marker section, and then over here we'll basically define these. Okay, what do we need for marker? We have state, so we'll be using state as this, and we'll say remember marker state, and maybe we can add something into this. Yeah, we can set the position as rider marker. Okay, and you can do the same thing for your destination as well, so you can add this. Instead, that is going to be customer, customer, and then let's call it destination marker. Okay, I think this should be something like this. Now let's just try running this and see if what we are trying to do is actually working. Okay, so now the app is building. We'll get over here, select this. Let's just, okay, it crashed. Why did it crash? Let's see. It's saying that the socket location response is not serialized, which is, I guess, the correct reason. So we'll just try to make it serializable. That's all we need to do. Serializable. Let's just make sure the rest of the stuff that we have is also serializable so that it doesn't complain. And let's just do this. I think that should be enough. We are not using socket location for processing, so we should be good. Okay, now let's just try again. Okay, G. So we are over here. Let's go to Main Street. Okay, once again, it's crashing. Oh my God. It's saying that the decoding exception somehow when it tries to decode, there is some problem with this. Let's see. What did we get? I think we should have that. We go to our, let's just do one more thing. Let's just debug this and see when we get that value, what exactly the issue that we face. Okay, let's see. We need to go to the view model, and inside this view model, we'll be getting something over here. Now, let's just get there. Main Street. We are attempting a connection request, which is fine. Now, we get over here. The IT is empty. Okay, I think that should be the reason. Let's just filter IT not IT dot is not empty. So let's just add this filter so that we don't end up in situation like this. I'm not sure why we get this. Ideally, it should be one message and we should be just collecting the latest. But yeah, let's just attempt something else. For now, I'm just trying to see if we get any message, and we should, if we can draw the lines on the map, and then we'll basically fix this whole flow because this is not the correct right now. So we get over here, we get to the main section, hoping will, okay, nothing happened. Yes. Okay, now you can see, wow, it's quite far, but at least we saw that the rider can now deliver the app. We, if we click on one, I'm not sure which one is the correct one. If I click on that, that's my rider, and if I click on the other one, you can see it's my customer. So I think the this flow worked, and this whole setup that we have is not how we want it. So we need to fix that. So let's just uh, try to fix this. Okay. So basically, to fix this specific issue, what we are gonna do is that I'm gonna get rid of this whole structure like this. Okay. And I'm gonna say location update is equals to mutable state flow, mutable state flow of location update, right? It was location update, right? Socket location. It was socket location. And for initially, it will be null. Okay. Right. Okay. And then we'll create a function that will be using process location, and we'll be using repository dot messages dot collect latest. We need to make sure, I think it should be view model scope dot launch. So we need to do this, and after that we will basically be uh, doing the rest of the things that we were supposed to do, so that basically we will serialize it. Yeah, just one more thing that we need to make sure, and that is if it is not empty. This is important. It should not be empty. Sorry, if it's empty, we'll just basically return that and not use it. Okay. And inside this init will basically process this. So that's something we did. And now let's make it slightly improved, and we'll be using wall location update is equals to underscore location update as state flow, and use this over here. And inside the details screen, where is my detail screen? This is my detail screen. So I'm gonna use this over here like this. Okay, I think this is much better. And also, when we got all these things, this camera position state, I would love to update that to something once we have these up values available, like this message available, like for this. So I'm gonna say launched effect message dot value. So the value, and the value is same, I would like the camera position for that. Dot position is equals to camera position dot from lat long zoom. So something like this. Okay. Now what will happen is that as soon as we get the data to the socket, the rider, the basically the camera will move to the rider location, and this will happen every time the rider moves. Right. So let's just try again this time. This time it will basically slightly zoom as well, so that we can see the roads actually, and then the path that's been driven. And then we'll see what else we can do. Okay, we get over here, we go to the main street. We somehow managed it, and now you can see that it's been drawn. The reason basically it's slightly abrupt and it's not following the road is because we have a limit on this, and since that it's almost like from one side to the other end of the US. One is in the New York and one is in the San Francisco, California. So that's why it's basically creating it somewhere here. If let's say if we, like, the rider is over here, so if we try to deliver something nearby this point, we might get a much better view. But I think for now it's something that's fine. And now the next thing would be to basically update the rider location, and I would also want slightly more improved design for my marker, because right now this marker doesn't, like, both of them are slightly similar, so something different would be nice to have. And now for that, I think we can use icon, and that will be bitmap descriptor. We'll create something like this, and we'll basically create, now over here we'll basically create that function saying bitmap descriptor from vector, which will be using context and drawable resource. And I think we can create something like this. Okay, now I think this should be fine. We don't have a nav controller, so I can do is I can create a context. So that I'm going to say context is equals to local context dot current. That's something you can use instead for that. Then we'll be importing R, and I'm not sure how what we can do for that. What icon we can use? Maybe use this one as a customer, and use something for rider as well. Sorry, not here. Over here for rider, we might use something else. Uh, what icon can we use? I think that's better. Okay, now let's just try once again with the updated icon, and hopefully this looks better. We'll definitely create some more icon to fix that, but I think for now it should be fine. Okay, we get over here. Let's set this, and now you can see there is this icon. It's quite small, but at least the icons got updated. And if we go to the other end of the US, I think we need to fix this, but okay, where is it? Oh my God. We need to do this. And now you can see that the home icon is there as well. So now you can see that we have done this. Now what next we want to do is that, so like as soon as user moves toward that specific point, we would want to update that user location accordingly, and then we'll take it from there. So let's just work on that. Okay, so next thing would be to update the user location, right? So that what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna get over here into this location manager class, and now you can see we have this thing set up over there. Now, okay, so now over here, what we need to do is that we need to set up those stuff we need. Okay, so for location manager, what we need to do is that we need to do a couple of things. First thing that I need over here is that I need this add application context wall context as context. That's important. That's what we need over here. Second thing would be to create a state. So I'm going to say wall location update. Okay, and let's just make it a private location update like this. Location update is equals to mutable state flow of, okay, and that is going to be location as null. So that is something that it will do as an initial, and I'm going to say a state flow. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is that we need to make a location request. So that is again important. And this is basically something that we will be using. So when you are creating a location request, you'll be using a builder, and that builder you need to define how long you want that specific thing to be there. So you can define two things. One is the priority. I'm defining priority as high, And also along with that, I'm going to pass that as 1 minute, so 1 second. So like after 1 second we should get that. There are some other stuff as well you can add, but I think we are good with this one. So that is your request. One more thing I think we need is that we need a location callback for that. Location callback, that is there, and that is going to be a location callback equals to null. Okay, that's something. Now we need a function that says start location update, and what it will do is that it will basically be doing some stuff as requesting this. It will complain about permission, so I think we will handle it later on when we do that. And along with that, we also need to make sure that the callback is equals to something like this. Yes. Okay. This make sure it's a var so that we can reset this, and then we know that we have initialized, so we will just make sure that we have done. The next thing would be to create another function and say stop location update, which means that when if the location callback is not null, we'll basically set it to this, and we are done there. Okay. Now almost everything is there. What we need to do is that we need this location manager in our location repository over here. So let's just call that location manager. So I'm going to say private wall location manager as my location manager over here. And now once we receive that and the connection is there, like you can see that this specific connection is there, like the system is connected. What we need to do is that we'll be using location manager dot start location updates. That's one thing. And if it's disconnected, we'll make sure to stop location update. And let's just do it for this one as well. That's one thing. That's first thing. Second thing would be to make sure when we basically are connected and we start location update, let's just do something as while connection status socket connection dot value is equals to connected. So that is going to be socket connection. Is it socket connection? Yeah, is it socket connection dot connected? If it's connected, like meanwhile if it's connected, what we will do is that we'll basically be getting the location update dot collect. Okay, we'll be collecting that, and inside that, let's just use this. Okay, and inside that, if the result that we received is not null, we'll basically be passing that message to the socket. And now the thing is that right now when we try to do this, it will fail because there are some limitation on this. So for that we need to create the specific request that we uh, created. And for that, let's just go to the model, create a Kotlin class that is going to be a data class, and call it as location socket location model. Okay, and make sure it's serializable because we are going to convert that from there. Pass the order ID as string, then we will be passing as wall rider id as string. We will be using wall latitude as double, and we'll be using longitude as double as well. So this is something we will be using over here. Let's just use that socket. We have almost everything, and we'll basically use wall item is equals to this. Now from over here, I'm just gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna say JSON dot encode to string, and we'll pass that as item. So I think that should be enough for passing this. Let's just log that message as well so that I can test it while setting it up. Yeah, one more thing I think I missed over here, and that is going to be wall type. That is a string, and that is equals to always location updates. So that's something we will be using it like this as well. Now, uh, it will keep on like if you can also add some sort of more delay into that location update as well. But I think if you don't, it should be fine. Now let's just run it and see when there is a change in the rider location from the socket side if that gets updated. Okay, it's saying that now we need two things. So yes, definitely we need to pass that application context to this, and we'll pass that. Wasn't it the context, or is it something else that it's required? Oh, sorry, it's the location manager, not the password. So I'm gonna say so location manager as location manager, and we'll pass that. Make sure location manager is there. Yeah, this is the location service. We are not using it anywhere, so let's just pass that. Provides function provide location manager that uses fuse location API and the contacts. Yeah, I think that should be fine. Now let's just run it. Hopefully this time it will run. I've updated that. Let's just go over here, try to see what happens. Okay, so now we are in San Francisco and it's been there. We are going like it's going there. Let's just go to the logs, see if we are getting those location updates that we created. So I think the reason for this crashing is that since we have not added any permission or like allowed the location permission for the rider app, so we'll just go over there, go to app sections, go to permission. You see we don't provide any permission, so we'll be using allow. I think yeah, now when we go there to the rider, we'll get over here main street. Okay, there is some sort of error. Let's use a try catch block on that. And let's just rerun this. Now, for some reason, this location is creating some problem and we are not getting that location. So let's see what is the problem here. We get over here, go to the logcat. Okay, so it's saying that when you're using the looper, this is null. Okay, so we need to fix that looper issue that we have. Okay, we are already passing it as null. So let's say wall looper is equals to looper dot get main looper, else go for looper dot get my looper. Okay, so let's just try that. Okay, we'll get over here, get here, go there. Okay, now you can see that there is the location that we are getting for. Let me try to update the user location to somewhere else. Let's see if it gets changed. Yeah, you can see that it changed from there, but for over here it's not updating, so there is something wrong. Either we are not getting the message or there is something else. So let's just debug this. Let's just close that. And what we need to do is that we need to go to our socket repository, and inside that let's just search for, sorry, not socket repository, it should be socket service and on message. Where is the on message? This is the section where we should be getting those messages. So let's just go over there, click on that. Okay, we call that connect socket. Fine, we got that on message as first one. Current location says 37 minus 122, which is wrong. We should get something else. And now when next time we send that update, we are not getting anything else. So I think there is something wrong with my socket on the backend side. Let me see. Okay, so now I've basically updated the backend code, and now let's just run this again. Hopefully this time it will work. Let me just run the backend. Yeah, backend is running, so we are good. Let's run the front end as well. Now, hopefully this time when there is a location update, the rider locations will also be updated and the rider will start moving. So now let's just get over here. Okay, there is a slight update for some reason. Oh, where are we? Okay, we are in the New York now, the both rider and the section. But now what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna go over here into the states, something like this. Okay, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna change the user location to something else. Where we are, just slightly outdated. Yeah. So now I'm gonna set it over here, set that location, and now you can see as soon as I change that value from here, it gets updated over here. Definitely, uh, for some reason the marker is not being visible, but I think the rest of the thing is done. And now let me just do one more thing. Let's just create a route from for different points. So we'll be using, I think that is the points. Yes, that's the point. From there, let's just maybe use this section. So let's just zoom in and try to get from here. Let's make it, sorry, that's going to be new. What was that? New Rochelle. Yes. So maybe something like this. Save route. Okay, we can. What just happened? No, that should be New York. Let's see. I think that's something we should be doing. And now let's just play that route. So now you can see as we move. Let's just stop route for now. Let me see why we are not getting that marker. We should be getting that marker. For some reason the marker is not being visible. And let's see why. Let's get over here, create that. Now you can see that marker is there, and we need this to be New York. Okay, I'm gonna make it New York, and now let's just start to play that route. Now when I play that route, you'll see that as speed should be 3x. I think 3 should be fine. Or maybe 5x. Yeah. Now you can see that the rider is moving on the path that it created, and it can, you can see that it's basically updated accordingly. There is one problem that I can see right now, and that is basically that uh, the marker for the rider is not updating. I'm not sure why the marker is not updating. Maybe there is something that we need to figure out. Other than that, what else? Yeah, this like whenever I basically make it that change, we see that the camera is basically moving every time, so we need to make sure that we don't move that camera every single time. So for that, I'm gonna go over here, and okay, where is that? We should be going to the orders details screen. Let's just get over here, go to that order details screen over here, and now this is my rider marker that's coming from this. Okay, so maybe we should do something as like this one. We should be using wall state is equals to remember marker. Okay, and then we'll be using that state over there like this, and then we'll say launched effect rider marker. Okay, so when basically there is a change in there, we will be updating that state dot position is equals to lat. I think we should be doing this. It should be something like this. That's one thing. And we also, like over here, you see that every time there is a change, we are making it. So let's just not do that. Instead, we'll make sure that only once we do it. So how do we manage that? The camera movement should be only done once when we have message not equals to null. I think when the message is, sorry, message dot value is not null, which means that the first time when we get that message dot value is not equals to null, that will true, and then after that it will be true forever. So I think that should be enough. So now the camera won't move, and hopefully this marker, rider marker, will start moving around when user basically initiate that route. So let's just try this again. Sure. This is, I think this is the one that we did today. Okay. I will get over here, go to the main street. Okay, we got the map, we got the rider. Now let's just start the route. Now this time, now you can see the marker is not, like the camera is not moving, and then you can see that our basically rider is moving, and the polylines are still quite small. So maybe we should increase that to maybe 8 like this. So that's one thing. Basically it looks. So now I think this is one part of this specific part of this portion when basically user can get those updates from there, and the next thing would be to uh, implement something similar on the user end side as well, so that user can see their orders basically being delivered to them. And also when we basically deliver that, we would want that movement to stop, and will basically when basically we deliver that orders to the user, will basically show some sort of a success message saying that the order is delivered or something like that. So that's pretty much what we should be doing. The first thing that I'll do is that I'll basically create a similar uh, flow, like the similar flow that we have for this location update and all these on the client side, on the customer side, and will show the user the update of the user based on what's there. So yeah, so let's just start working on that. Let me just stop that and close that specific location service side as well, so that we don't end up uh, so we don't end up using all our quota for the free location updates. Yeah, now this is done. What I'm gonna do now is that I'll go to the build variants. From there, I'm gonna change to customer debug. Okay, and when we switch to customer debug, let's just try to run that. So basically, this is my one side of the app. This will be the customer app. I'm gonna run that on a different device. So maybe let's try with Pixel API 28. Let's hope this is the correct device that I have. So now I'm gonna running. I'm basically running the app from the customer side for this on this specific screen. We might not be able to run this, but let's see if it works. Okay, yeah, you can see that this is basically a problem that we are having. uh, Basically change some models for the rider, and that's why we basically got this. So I think we should fix these before using them, before we can run it. So yeah, that's these two things are important. Food item review, import that extension. I think, yeah, I think that should be enough. Once you do that, now you'll be able to run that. And let me just close everything. I'll basically show you how we can use specific things for specific variants, because from the customer side we would never want to update the customer location live like we are doing for the rider app, but we will still want that to fetch the user like the rider location, and then try to show the user how basically it looks for them. So so let's just wait for a while. Let's just log in. Just add this furkan at gmail.com. Password is 123456. Sign in. Okay, we've signed in. We'll go to the orders. So the upcoming orders that are there, some history. So again, there are some orders that I basically like kind of confused. It should be upcomings rather than history for until the orders are basically delivered to the user. So now when let's say when I open any order, let's just try to match one orders that's for the main street is that 0C6931. So let's just find that order. Or sir, so now over here, what we would want is that we would want the same map view that we had in the other screen, rather than full screen covering up. Right now, for this, we'll basically showing this in the bottom section in the map, and that map will be basically the same. It will be using the same view, the map view that we created. But yeah, there will be a slight stuff that we would want specifically for the customer and not for the user, and then also the same settings would be done for the sending messages as well. So let's just start working on that. Okay, so basically what we will do is that we need a couple of things to be done. So what I'm gonna do is that I'll get over here, and inside this section, inside this UI features, orders. Okay, so now over here I'm going to create a new package, and sorry, no, new Kotlin class, and that class is basically going to be a view model. So I'm going to say order details base view model. Okay, this is basically going to be a base view model class that we will be using, and this is again going to be an abstract class. So this is an abstract class, and it will extend view model. Okay, and what we will do is that those stuff, the stuff that is related to maps will be basically added over here. For for example, this location updates. So these things, connect to socket, disconnect to socket should be done through there. So I'm gonna take that all from there instead, and I'll paste it inside this abstract class over here. Okay, and again, this is regarding repositories. You can see that we have this location repositories over here. So I'm going to create one more repositories over here as well, and that is going to be location update base repository. Okay, and this is going to be a class, again abstract class. Okay, the reason we will be using this as an abstract class is because we will create some sort of customization, because in case of rider we want to post the location update as well, but in case of user we just want to listen for the messages and not much. So these kind of things will be done over here, and we'll get to this location based repository. It should be somewhere over here inside this. Okay, so I think we are already using that. I'm gonna location update base repository. Okay, and now from there, what we need to do is that this message, for example, this message, this connect mess functionality should be updated. So we need that socket service wall socket service over here like this. And now over here we'll basically paste that messages. We'll also be using an abstract function connect for that. We will also be using abstract function disconnect. So these are the methods I think that are important over here, so we'll just use them, and we'll make them override wall. This thing is already part of uh, our service, so I'm gonna use that as socket service to there. Okay, we don't need the location manager there, so that will be again will not be part of that. Okay, then this function is going to be override, so that we can override that. This function will also be override, so that we can use it. And now basically we can slightly change these values, so that like rather than using it the normal repository, this will be become a rider repository, and then we can create one more repository class and call it as customer location update socket repository. Okay, and we'll create a class of this pretty much similar to what what we have over here. The only difference would be to use inject constructor, and that is going to be socket service. Okay, and that socket service will be basically creating something like this. Okay, now this connect is basically, to some extent the connect function would be similar. So what we will do is that we will be using this, but instead of this, I think we can do something like this. In case of disconnect, we'll be using socket.disconnect. simple, nothing much. We already have a messages so that we can directly access the messages over here. Okay, what else do we have left? I think nothing much. Uh, yes, do we need that? We can just location connect, and then in case of, yeah, I think that's pretty much. Let's just add try catch just to be sure. Okay, now this service is done. This is for customer, the other one was for rider, and now if we go to our base view model, it will complain, but we need to fix that complaint. So what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna use that location, sorry, wall repository, and that is going to be location update base repository, so that we can access that. And this location update is, I think, something that's been used, so we can use that from here. Okay, that's part of the view model. I think location update. Yeah, these are the part of view model. So I'll get that and paste it as a base class over here so that it's accessible. Right. We are not gonna make them private. Instead, we'll make them protected so we can access them from the base classes. And I think we are good now. The details section, this specific, would be able to handle all the rest of the stuff. And this specific screen now over here, rather than using this view model, instead we will be using order details base. Let's just do one more thing. Let's just take that whole composable from there. Okay, just take that all. Okay, so I'm gonna just cut all these details from there, and I'll go to the core section, core main orders, create a new package. And this package is going to be map, order map, order map. Okay, and now inside that we'll create a Kotlin file and call it order map view. Okay, this is going to be a simple file, and inside that we'll paste this, which will be this. Okay, and instead we'll be using order details base view model. Okay, and this is similar to what we have, and we don't need anything else. We definitely don't need this one as well, this button as well. We can take that and place it directly inside this detail screen over here, for example, something like this. Okay, so now this base stuff is done. For this, we have pretty much made multiple stuff available in the relevant section. We just need to do one more thing. I think this location update repository should also go to the r- rider section. So I'm gonna place it over here. Okay, so that we have a relevant uh, available. And now over here inside this customer section, for example, this is the customer section that we have. And now if we go to the UI section and then go to features, orders, orders list, order detail screen. So this is basically the order detail screen that we have. We don't have the rest of the things that we basically need. So what I'm going to do, instead of extending it from view model, I'm going to say base, sorry, order details base view model. It requires me to pass the repository for that, so I'm going to say wall repository, and that is going to be location update base repository. Okay, and we'll pass that. as repository. Okay, I think we don't need that. We can just pass it like this. Okay. So now once you do all this thing, I think we should be good, and there should be no issues with the initialization of these values. I think this will be so we definitely need to set up some sort of binding modules specific to the each flavor so that we can initialize specific repositories based on the abstraction. But I think other than that we are good now. So this is done, and now let's just do a couple of things. For example, right now, if you look into this section, this will complain because we haven't set up these. And now what we need to do is that we need to get rid of that instead, and we'll go to the rider section over here. Inside this rider, let's create a couple more things. For example, over here I'm create a directory and call it di. Okay, and now inside that, let's create a Kotlin class, call it as rider modules. Okay, and that is going to be kt. Will be creating object rider modules, and inside that will basically set that. Okay, along with that we'll also pass these two lines for the rider as well, so that which means that uh, it will initialize them. We definitely need to set it up later on, but for now I think that should be fine. And when we go over here to the customer side, let's create one section over here as well, and this one should be refactored, renamed to customer module so that only customer related things are basically added. I'll just import those. Okay, we need a socket service that's already part of there. I think we don't need the manager for this one, and this is going to be location update based repository, and for this we'll say customer location update repository. We don't need the location manager for that. So this will basically, for customer it will work this way, and for rider we need to fix that. So let me just, so I'll do that. Let me just switch the build variant to rider so that we can fix this build issue that we have right now. Is basically we need to import the relevant files. So I'm gonna relevant import that, import this repository class, and now over here we'll basically import this. But for this we need to make sure that we set the base one over here so that it access the base one. Okay, now we are done with this one. We are also done with this one. I think that should be done. Let's just try running the rider app now, hoping, sorry, the customer app, with the hope that it will work. There are still a couple of more things that we need to do, but I think for now it should help to some extent. Meanwhile, I'll go to the rider order details screen where we actually want to make those changes that are needed. So customer Kotlin UI features order details, go to order details screens. And now inside this order details screens, you know that uh, we have this UI for the order details. And now over here, let's say if order details, sorry. So if order dot status is equals to order utils dot out for delivery. So it's going to be order status dot out for delivery. So which means that if it's equals to this, the order status, what we need to do is that we need to create that view that we basically now pasted over here, this specific one, tracking map view. We'll use that. Okay, over here. And now it requires two things from us. It requires a modifier, so I'm going to pass that modifier to this modifier, and along with that we need to pass the view model to this. So I'm going to pass view model and order. So I think when we do this, this should help. And so now we have this thing done, and there is some error that says cannot find customer module dot class. Okay, let's see why. We do have this customer module. I'm not sure why it's not being able to do that. Let's do one thing. I think let's create a new package over here. Call it UI, sorry, DI. And inside this DI, let's create a new package, a new class, and that class is going to be a flavor module. Okay. And that is going to be object flavor module. That is going to be in a module that you can define, and you can also maybe install in singleton component. So let's say let's use something like this, and now use the same one in every section rather than having a flavor module. Let's just use this. Okay, go to flavor module, paste it over here, take it from there and place it. Okay, think we can do something like this. Okay, fine, this is done. Let me just switch that build variant to rider debug. Okay, so now we got that. Okay, we'll paste it over here and we'll get rid of that. And now it will complain. The main one will complain. We'll just get rid of that. And this app module should also be part of DI rather than we keeping it there. Okay, I think we are good. Now let's just try once again. Okay, so it's saying that order map view was not able to, we were not able to identify that. Okay, and now it's complaining about the view model, order details view model. Our order detail view model is supposed to extend from order details base view model, and we'll pass that repository to this. We need to get rid of that. Okay, once again, let's try once more. Okay, now you can see that we were able to run that. Let's not use the rider app over here. Instead, run the rider app on API 30 where we are already running that. And what we have done is that basically we created this base view model class that basically does nothing special, just have this repository. And we define that inside this specific rider flavor module where basically we can define this. Okay, and we did the same thing for the customer app as well, but we'll run that later on. For now, let's just do it through this. And okay, so this is my rider app. This one is my, I think, app just built, or is was it just something? Yeah. Okay, Now let's just see that. So we have both, and now let's just run this. Let's try this one. You'll see that we have this rider and this location which is there, and it's slightly moving here and there just because of the location update. Okay, now let's just try to run the customer app. So we'll go back to customer debug. Now let's just see, when we customer debug is done, you can just run the code. Sorry, I think I made a mistake over here. We need to run that on the API 3828 because we want to see how it looks on over there. There are still some, I think there is one more change that I need to do before I can go there, and that is this socket service URL. This URL that we have, this create URL functionality, I want that URL functionality to be specific to the value when we pass to it. So basically, when there is latitude and longitude null to this function, I would want to not include the rest of the stuff and only pass the order ID to this. Okay. So sorry, not this one, instead these. Okay, so when something that like that happens, I would not want the order ID to be, sorry, the latitude and longitude is not there, which means that it's not the rider side, instead this is basically the other side now. So we'll go over here to the base service. We'll make sure that this latitude and longitude is basically um nullable. And now when we have something like this, what we will do, that we'll see if lat equals to null or long if any of them is null, will not include anything like that. Instead we'll just pass that, else we'll pass the rest of the thing. Okay, and now when we go over here into this location repository that we have for our user ID for like customer app, from over here, UI, features, orders, details, order view model. This is my location update repository. Where is that customer location update socket repository? Now over here we are passing 0. Instead I'm going to pass null now, so that we don't pass these value and then thing works as expected. We also need slightly updates over here from this section, where we'll see if uh, status is out for delivered. We'll connect that, but we need to make sure to use the relevant order status values. So I'm gonna say out for delivery dot name. If it's something like that, we'll be using this. Instead we will be using, else we'll be using delivered will not be tracking it anymore. In case of order utils dot order status dot cancelled, in case of cancelled will also be not be tracking, and will stop the tracking there. And lastly would be to do it for the rejected as well. So let's just use rejected as well. Okay, so now everything is ready. I think we can now run the customer side as well and see how it looks. So this is my customer. One side is the customer side and one side is this one. We can maybe create a route for this now. This one, I think this was the one. This slight change will be making it to New York. Okay, so the status is updated, and now we'll see how it looks on the client side when we search that. But let's just see. Okay, a good sign that the app was built successfully. and now it's running. Okay, now you can see I can go to my orders. So I'll go directly to the orders and go to history, and let's just find the relevant one. I think this is the one that I was trying. I think this is the one that was there. Now you can see I got this map. The you can see the same address over here. It's both side same. And now let me just start the tracking so that we can see how it looks when user basically initiates. So I'm basically just updating, starting the route from Google Play control. And what just happened? Okay, so here it is. The order is there. Let me find that somewhere over here. Yeah. Okay. So now you can see that as soon as like this rider moves, you can also see the same update being done over here. And I think this is what we wanted, right? This was something that we wanted to achieve by doing this. Uh, so yeah, that is pretty much cool, right? Pretty cool. This is. And now what we are gonna do is that we'll basically do some sort of minor updates on what we think we could update. For example, this order details screen, it looks quite bad. We need to fix it so that we can user can basically submit the delivery. And what else do we have left? I think that would be pretty much it. And then we'll run a full flow from scratch till the end of the delivery as a demo to see if the basic stuff that we wanted to try is working. Okay, I just lost. Yeah, so this is basically where it is right now. Yeah, it's going there. Right. So yeah, so let's just slightly update these values, and then we'll run a demo and see how the whole application looks. So let me just stop the route, and we'll also close those sockets as well so that we can work on the rest of the things. What I need to do is that on the other details, so I'll basically first thing that I'll do is that I'll go back to my rider debug side. Now when we are on the rider debug side, we need to fix this. I'm gonna place that in the column. So these two should be part of the column as this. We need a couple of things from here, like the order ID, the spacer, so that we can identify what exactly is the value or what exactly order we are looking at. So I'm gonna say modifier dot fill max size. That's something we wanna do. In case of this, instead of using fill max size, I'm gonna use dot weight weight as one, and we'll also use fix fill max width. It's going to be 1F. In case of orders status deliver, what we are going to do is that we'll say order status, update the order status to this. Instead, we'll say orders utils dot order status dot delivered dot name. Okay. Now, when we do that, we need one more thing for this specific section. When basically an order is delivered, we never want to show the rest of the buttons and things to the user still. So in that case, we will not be showing these values. So I'm going to say if order dot status is equals to delivered orders utils dot order status dot delivered dot name, which means now the order is delivered, will not be showing anything like that to the user. So I'm gonna take that stuff from there, place it over here. Let's just do one more thing, get rid of that as well. Okay. So now when the order status is delivered, what we will do is that we'll basically create a navigation back. So we can just do it from here. Nav controller dot pop back stack. And along with that, we'll also show some sort of um, text message saying that we basically order is delivered. So order is delivered, and maybe we can slightly work on the design for this. That is going to be title large, and the color should be green, because this is something that we want to show as a happy thing. And yeah, I think that's pretty much. And now let's just run the rider app on API 30 device. So we'll just run that once again. And along with that, I need one more device where I can run the restaurant app. I have a API 33 emulator, but that's super slow. So I hope that will work when we are running the restaurant app. I'm gonna change that. Rider app is running. We need to change to restaurant debug from the panel so that I can run the restaurant app as well. Okay, so now we are there. Let's just run that on an API 33 device. So the restaurant app is running. Okay, so I think every device, every app is running. From over here, this is API 30, so I'm gonna remove the rest of the app so that we don't get notifications and things like that, and we don't mix up things. I'll also get rid of the Food Hub app as well. Now this one is basically the rider app. This one is basically okay, it has a rider as well, so we'll get rid of the rider. We don't need that rider over there. We just need the we'll just keep the Food Hub app in this. And over here we just only have the Food Hub restaurant app. Okay. So first of all, the first thing that we need to do is that we need to log into relevant apps that we have. So in our case, we'll just log in on over here to the to the restaurant app. So for restaurant, we have owner1 at example.com. Password is 123. So the password is 12345 6. Okay. Now I basically signed into the restaurant app. We are over here like this. I'll get over here, go to the Food Hub app for my customer app. We get this over here, and now let's just start creating this one order. This is the new product that I created. This was the one. So let's just add that to cart. Add two item of that to the cart. Go to cart. If I go to cart over here, you'll see that it will ask me to create select address. You can select specific address. I'll go with the one that I have already checked out. So we'll go over here, check out from here, and as soon as we check out, it will go initiate the payment flows. Now from there, I'll just process the payment so that the process is done. The payment process is there, and now this cart is done. Our order is completed, right? Now I'll go over here to the orders and we'll see what we have. This is the one with the 123 Main Street, that order that I created. You can verify that as well. 787EF1C. So I'm going to open that, and then rather than going through each one of them, I'll basically go for preparing. Then we'll go to the ready section, which means now the order is ready. Now let's go and see if the riders have any reference to this order. Now we'll go over here. You can see that there is the order with the same order ID that's available in the rider app. And let's say the rider accepts that order. And as soon as rider accept that order, it goes over here to this section. This is the one that is assigned to the order. And now let's say order picks that up. As soon as orders is being picked, a map is created along with the user location. So we can go now, if you go to the continue shopping, and let's say if we go to the history and search for that specific order that we created, should be in the bottom. It's this one. No, it's slightly difficult to find something when you have so much. This is the order that we created, and if you go over here, you'll also see that now you see a map along with the user location. So now let me just start traveling toward that specific user where the order can be placed. So I'm gonna say New York NY 212. Okay, and then let's just start playing the route. As soon as we start playing the route, you'll see that the order gets started from here. Where is that? Yeah, over here. You can see that the rider will start moving towards that specific section. You will see the rider's movement towards the customer, and we should also see a deliver button, which I'm not seeing over here. Let's see why. So if we go to our rider app again, go to the rider debug section, and from over here, this is the section we did. We created this. Let's just take that button to the top of the view so that we know that, okay, this is being placed, and run that again on the rider app. So which is a 30. Let's just rerun this. What exactly I'm trying to do over here is that I'll basically, once the order is being placed, what I'll do is that I'll try to see how it looks when the order is delivered to the user, and we'll see how, like, what else we can do. Okay, so now the rider app is again running, and now you can see that we got that button on top. So okay, let's just, okay, the order started delivering, like the rider started moving, and now let's say I click on the deliver button, and as soon as I click on deliver, the order gets delivered. Right now it's not updated over here because we haven't updated it, but let's say when I go back to this order specifically again, you'll see that it says delivered and nothing else can be done. And when I go back, it just take me back to these orders. It should get updated, like it, these are something that that we would love to have, but I think once you deliver it, you'll see that it's like now delivered and you cannot do anything about that. So yes, that's pretty much. I think it was slightly long video, a lengthy video uh, of rider or of all this whole food delivery series that we created. But yeah, I think that's pretty much from my end. I'm not sure if anything is left. Please comment down below if you think there is anything left in this series. Other than that, I think from my side, it looks like we have pretty much covered most of it. Then there are definitely bugs, there are definitely improvements that we would like to have, but I think that would be nice to have in the GitHub repo, and then you guys can take that as an assignment and try fixing those. So Thank you so much for watching the video. I'll see you in the next video with some new projects. Till then, happy coding. Bye.
I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please like the video, comment down below and share the video with your friends. For similar content, you can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram, and if you have any queries, you can join my Discord server where we discuss different kind of things. So thank you so much for watching the video. Have a great day. Bye.